Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to art. We are now doing some virtual learning once again. So what I want to do is tell you about today's project. Today's project is going to take about 3 weeks to do. Now, if you do not have the art supplies today, do not worry. You can watch the video today, and then throughout the week, you can gather some supplies, and you can try to get part 1 finished. Now, I also want to tell you that in art, you can improvise. You do not have to use exactly the same stuff that I'm using, but it does help. So watch the video, see what I'm doing for part 1, and then you'll have a week until we meet again to get it done, okay? So here is what you need for part 1 today. I'm going to be using some plain white paper. If it's thicker, it's better, but I'm going to use thinner paper just to see how it works. I have some scissors, a pencil, and some glue, okay? I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I think I'll probably end up using the glue stick. I'm also finding in my house something that's round, okay? Now here I happen to have a paper plate, but you can use a plate that's in your cupboard or the edge of a container or something that is round because you're going to be tracing it. Okay. All right. So boys and girls, I decided to make our project based around the shape of a cone. Now, a cone is a solid or a hollow object which tapers from a circular or roughly circular base. Now, we all know what a cone looks like. Basically, a pine tree is shaped like a cone. A gnome's hat is shaped like a cone. A traffic cone is the shape of a cone, okay? And one of the things I notice in art is kids have a hard time making a cone. So that's why I decided, let's use this as a learning day to make a cone to start. So here is how I make the cone. I take the plate, which is the round object that I'm going to use, because a cone starts out with a half of a circle. So if I pan you down here, I'm going to take my piece of paper, and I'm going to take my paper plate, find the middle of it. I think I'll turn my paper like that. Okay, just plop it down. And I'm going to trace half of my circle. Okay? Now that I have half the circle, I don't need the plate anymore, actually, that's done. I'm going to cut out half of the circle, just like that. Now, with half the circle, I'm going to bring the two flat sides together and overlap them. And look at that. You got yourself a cone. Pretty cool, right? So I'm going to take the glue, and I hope my glue is still sticky. Yep. I'm going to throw some glue on the one side of the cone. And what you can do is you can figure out how wide you want your cone to be or how narrow you want it to be by sliding the edges back and forth. But I'm going to make mine about that size. And just like that, you've made a cone. Okay, so boys and girls, now that you know how to make a cone, what I want you to do is spend some time and make 8 cones, okay? And after you make the 8 cones, I have my 8 already made. I want you to take the one side of the cone, and let me move you down here, and I want you to make a seam up the middle, okay? So put the side that you glued on the bottom like that, and just take your fingers and pinch up the center so you create a nice little, we'll call that like a spine. Do you see that? So once I have that, I am going to take my glue and throw a little glue inside. Not a lot. Can you see in there? And now I'm going to take my next cone, and I already pre-did my little line up the center. So I'm going to tuck this in like that. So this cone goes inside, but make sure you move it back a little bit. Don't shove it directly inside. You want to leave a space like that, okay? So take glue and finally my last one, which I'm gluing inside. Now I can't pick this up yet because that glue really has to tack. But if I move my computer to show you, I didn't glue it completely straight. You can see I curved it a bit, just to give it a little more motion, okay? So I'm gonna let that dry, and next week I'll be able to pick it up and show you part 2, okay? So let your cones dry in a spot that no one will touch them, and once they dry you can pick them up and move them to a safe spot, and then we'll be ready for part 2. All right, so I'm really excited to show you what this is going to turn into. So get busy making your cones, and I'll talk to you next week. Have a great day, boys and girls. See you soon.